Good afternoon, everyone. It's Penny and Kim back again to light up your Friday with the 5 stars of strengthening families. So, we had finished off our other series and we wanted to continue doing this. So, we decided to go ahead and go through the parent cafes, caregiver cafes for teens and emerging adults. So using the same format, we're going to discuss each of those areas, each of your 5 stars, which are resilience, relationships, knowledge, support, and communication. We're going to ask questions in each of those categories about teens and emerging adults. So same format, just talking about those sort of years between 10 and out of the house, grown up, whatever you consider that number to be. And each question, each star will have 4 episodes of questions based on that particular star. And today our star is going to be resilience. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Kim and she's going to ask you our question for today.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our 5-Star Friday. Our question for today is, how does parenting teens test you in ways that younger children did not? How does parenting teens test you in ways that younger children did not?
Okay. So when we look at resilience in particular, how does being the parent of a teen test my resilience? Okay. So the first thing that kind of springs into my head is that when we're looking at that age range, as they start to get older and emerge into adulthood, there's a lot more fear from me. So loss of control, for lack of a better word, right? They're out in the world more, they're taking bigger risks, there's more chances for hurt, whether it be physical hurt or emotional hurt, which for me as a parent is a really hard one to handle. Physical stuff doesn't bother me quite so much, but emotional hurts. So when they start getting into relationships and so being able to be resilient through those times when I can't fix things and I shouldn't be fixing things, because I need to let them experience those things so they learn how to, and that they build their own resilience. So basically it's about my own coping strategies, recognizing when I'm parenting from a place of fear, trying to control the situation and control them so I don't have to deal. And just finished a workshop on anxiety with some parents, and that was one of the things we talked about quite a lot, was our own anxiety and how that presents itself, right? So if you can't change the situation, you have to change how you think about it. So instead of thinking about, the bad things that can happen, I have to remind myself to think about the skills that they're building. Their skill of resilience, their skill of relationships. And when I'm jumping in and trying to fix or make sure it doesn't happen in the first place, they lose all those great opportunities to learn those things. So Kim.
I'm just writing down what you said. I love it. If you can't change what's happening, change the way you think about it. Yeah. Right. So, and it's through those happenings or those challenges that often our resiliency is built. Well, that our resiliency is built, because we what feels like the end of the world in a challenge, and if we're able to have our emotions about whatever that emotion is bringing up for us, and that's validated and normalized for us by our caregivers. So us as a parent will be normalizing and validating for our teens. Then we can change the way we think about it, because our alarm comes down and we're able to change that. If we try to change it for them first before normalizing and validating, it's going to just I think we're going to trip all over ourselves as their caregiver. So when I think of resiliency, that's what I think about. Things happen, challenges happen, but it's how we can work our children through those emotions that are coming up for them, even though we want to save them from all that emotional hurt and physical hurt and things like that. Like you say, they have to. This is one of those areas where the kids will say, I remember saying to my mom, I can't learn from your mistakes. And we're really intuitive. Teenagers are really intuitive when they say that, because in some ways it's very true. They have to kind of go through that, and it's an emotional process. And so that's how I see. But now, okay, the question was how. I kind of got off track there, because the question is, how does parenting teens test you in ways? So I'm going to agree with you there, Petty, on the emotional and the physical pain, wanting to protect them from that, because they do seem more complex. And it seems like there's more internet and things like that we have to be more mindful of than we did with our littles, even though it's getting younger and younger. But yeah, so that's kind of, I kind of modge podge that up there, but thinking along the lines of resiliency and feeling our emotions, feeling our way through is what builds resiliency. Getting to the other side, realizing we survived what we thought was going to be the end of the world, and if we actually survived it, we then can build some resiliency for the next time.
Yeah, and if you think about resiliency as that ability to cope and bounce back, you don't, like anything, you don't realize you can do it until you do it. You can learn some things from other people's experiences, but resiliency has to be built through your own experiences, right?
Yes.
And as parents, when we hover or helicopter or whatever you want to call it, we also convey to our children, our teens, that we don't believe in their ability to cope. And we don't say that. And maybe we don't even think that, but that's what our actions are implying. I have to save you from this because you won't be able to handle it. And those sort of insidious messages, nonverbal messages, are very, very strong. So we have to,
even though they might be your intentions might have been, all the best intentions.
Totally. I mean, what parent out there wants to see their child in distress? It's right. Yeah. And this is not a shame on you moment, because it's totally normal. And it really tracks back to everything we've talked about, is working on our own, our own beliefs and our own anxieties, and making sure that we're still being that supportive, responsible adult, because their thinking brains aren't totally developed, so they do still need you to say, let's think that through. If you're going to jump from that rooftop to that rooftop, let's think about what that could look like, and not sort of jumping in and saying, no, absolutely not, you're not doing that. Helping them think that through a little bit, and then maybe do say in the end, you know what, that hasn't convinced me, so no, you're not doing that. Right? That idea of letting them work through the process a little bit, and going, sometimes they'll come up, I mean, they're not stupid, right? So they're can usually come to the same conclusions as you, that, oh yeah, if I plummet 4 stories, I could really hurt myself. So yeah, I think that kind of sums it up for me. Do you have anything we've missed?
No, I think that's it for me too. So what's our challenge?
Okay. Oh, one little note I had though was trusting that you have instilled your values in your children, and by the time they're teens, you also have to have a certain trust in your own parenting, that you've done the things that are important, and now you need to sit back and let them apply those in their life a little bit. That was one point. Okay. So our challenge was to notice your style of parenting. So we didn't really get into this, but one of the things we had discussed previous was, we talk about brick wall, jellyfish, and backbone parenting. So brick wall is sort of that my way or the highway. Jellyfish is permissive, and backbone is like that flexible. So there's structure, but there's flexibility. And, you know, as parenting, we want to try to land in that middle range most of the time. And we had talked about, if you're a brick wall parent, how are you finding parenting your teen? Is that more challenging? Or if you're permissive parenting most of the time, are you noticing changes with that? Or if you're a flexible backbone parenter, and again, we're always some of those things sometimes we're all parenting this way or that way or the middle. We're seldom only one way, but maybe noticing your parenting style and noticing if it's still working. Are you finding that you're in conflict with your teens more than ever? In conflict with your children more than you ever have been before? Are you finding that things just aren't working? And just noticing maybe they are working, and thinking about if they are, where can you tweak? And if they're not, what can you do? How can you support yourself to have a more harmonious relationship with your teen?
So coming back into, so if you're looking at those 3 parenting styles, coming back sort of to the middle one as often as you can, or noticing when you're not, maybe might even be easier than when you are. I don't know.
Yeah, so notice when you're the backbone too, right? Because those are the moments that you want to learn from. Because you will notice when you're being the backbone, you'll notice if you're paying attention that things are usually more harmonious.
Yeah.
So yeah, finding some balance. Well, that's not too hard of a challenge, is it?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today on this Friday, and we will be back next week with our second installment in the resilience regarding teens and emerging adults. Have a good weekend.
Okay.